Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a special video that we wanted to cook up. We've got all the ingredients. We've got the garlic, we've got the salt, the pepper, the oregano, the Italian seasoning, because we might cook some Italian tactics here. Sorry, Italy fans. But here, one of the reasons why we're making this video is obviously with some international football with the Copa America and the Euros. We saw a lot of complaints, a lot of statements, more so of folks saying that it's boring, it's slow, international football is not exciting anymore, and yada, yada, yada. So we decided to do a breakdown. Obviously, you can see the thumbnail, you can see the background, half-assed to see the background because we're all covering it because we're big, of 2006, because we're comparing international football to what I personally think is the pinnacle of international football in 2006, and kind of talk about how the game has ironically migrated away from that, because the answer and my initial response to this is the reason why international football is boring is because football from an expectation perspective has shifted. Because, like, for example, back then it was more artistry, more elegance. It wasn't bigger, faster, stronger. It was more so who can wow me, who can make my pants wet, in a sense, right? Whereas now we're looking at bigger, faster, stronger gimmicks, in a sense, right? Like Mr. Chiesa, unfortunately. Sorry, I had to throw a pot shot there. But when we're looking at players with gimmicks and certain things, you tend to lose that individuality. And then also with, and some of these guys will cover this as well, the evolution of tactics, because tactics back in the day were a lot more simpler. If you look at lineups back in the 90s, you look at lineups in the 2000s, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-1-2-1, the diamond for a lot of you throwback stands there. A lot of coaches back then said, fuck it. I got playmakers. Here's the lineup. Go out and do it. Whereas you look at it now, there's not that many players that are known for being playmakers. I believe the number 10 has respectfully died and rolled in its grave numerous times. But here to break it down, though, I'm going to throw it out to you guys and let you guys think about what your thoughts are on it. But how do you guys feel about should we say, is it a de-evolution of the game, or is it that football has lost its artistry?
We can say it's evolution of it, because it's going further and further, but let's see where it will stop with. Where are we going to handle? But it's the evolution, which is tragic for us, for the people that have been watching the game for 20 plus years. We like our heroes as Juve fans was Del Piero when we were growing up, because of what he would do on the pitch, and Pirlo, even with the Azzurri, what he was doing on the pitch. And it has gone away, of course, because we are from the problem is that everybody is trying to succeed. Main goal is succeed, and right now the succeeding is arithmetic, which is mathematical. So they are going in a robotic way, which is to just play this way because the computer says so. It has the most chance of success.
We've turned into the NFL. Good Lord.
Yes.
Baseball, even the numbers, running the numbers.
Right.
No, it all has become a game of numbers. I think, like you said, 2006 was the pinnacle. Like I steal a quote from Dashi, because you have all the generations, the 90s legends and the 2000s, early 2000s legend, and even the start of the 2010 legends. Like all of those players accumulated like in that same time frame at the 2006 World Cup. And you had all the identities back then. And what kind of changed football after that a little bit was, number one, Pep's Barcelona, because it went towards that tiki-taka football. And then other teams like have to find out or have to find a way to stop that. And the way to stop that was the physical football. Do you remember, for example, the World Cup 2010? How they got kicked around by the Dutch, but they still won like at finesse, because it was an incredible team with Iniesta, Xavi, Sergio Busquets, Xabi Alonso on the pitch on the same time. By the way, the players were that intelligent back then that Iniesta could play right midfielder. They didn't depend on his pace, but they depended on his playmaking on the right side, for example. And one game they played a double pivot at the front with Fernando Torres and David Villa. One
David
time
Villa.
they played only David Villa, for example. So they had the philosophy of just playing your best players on the pitch and let your players cook. And that accumulated into their tiki-taka because the players were intelligent enough and the players had chemistry because they came from that Barcelona school as well. And what happened after that, for example, the 2014 World Cup, Germany played a physical style. Germany was one of the, or after Spain, that did it with Sergio Ramos, for example. They played him as a fullback on the right. Germany, for example, played Jerome Boateng on the right or Benedict Höwedes on the left, for example, who are center backs as well. So the idea started back then to start a physical play, to destroy your opponent, to make it hard for them to have ball possession in your own half, or especially in your own third, basically in front of your box. And that is how teams always try to make it difficult for the opponent. And we are within a revolution right now, I believe. Because, for example, Spain right now plays kind of its philosophy. They found their rhythm back. They got back to their tiki-taka football, but combined it with the modern arts of football with the high press, for example. And they're not just sitting in their own box with for example, Sergio Ramos on the right side and wait for the ball and then hit you with that tiki-taka. So I think it is slowly moving again because you have to find a way against these physical teams again. And Spain is doing that, for example, and they are maybe a standard bearer for the upcoming evolution again, maybe.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you look at, like the current players too, right? Like I don't want to say that they're gimmick players, but when you look at the previous iteration of players, let's use that Spain team, right? All those players could play numerous positions without any issue whatsoever. Whereas, like, for example, right now, Chiesa wants to stay in one position, right? Because we know Chiesa. We've covered Chiesa all season. Chiesa can't play across the line. Or, for example, Dusan is only a finisher. He can't do hold up. He can't do X, Y, and Z. Whereas you look at players back then, it was a minimum to know at least two or to have all the fundamentals covered. Where it's like you look at it now and it's like players are super, super dependent on something. Because, like, for example, how many times have we gone on YouTube and looked at Ronaldo Fenomeno, the Brazilian Ronaldo, and take the ball from his half of the field, dribble through everybody, and score, right? Where it's like the intelligence, the understanding of the game, of how those players had it back then. Like, for example, even Zidane destroying that 2006 team single-handedly, that French team. Like these, like nowadays, like the only time we were able to see something equivalent to those kind of levels was Messi and Ronaldo, where it's like you don't really see it with Mbappe, you don't really see it with Haaland, you don't really see it with Jude Bellingham, you don't see it with Vinny. Like you'll have spurts and stuff like that, right? But it's just not that initial shock and awe. And I think more so that like maybe it's the IQ, or maybe because we're so reliant on statistics now, where we've kind of taken away the creativity or the thought from players.
Yeah, my thing is, I would just interrupt you, saying that Mbappe, when he was under 20, when he was still at Monaco, was just
Insane.
beautiful to watch. I think the problem is they are getting coached out of being that type of players. That's what I feel. Like they are trying to mold the coaches are trying to mold them to what they feel like is the best for their success, which is the coach's success, which means the team's success, on the juxtaposed to the beauty of the game and the players' expression of their game, of what they want to express on the field.
So that
That's
poses the question. Like, is it
Yes.
is it the coaching then? Is it the players? Is it somewhere in between? Like, where's the blame?
I think so. Like, for example, if you were, because this is like a multi-layered problem, but I think when you look at it from a top-down approach, right, I really think because of the coaching and how it's switched to a statistic gimmick in a sense, right? Because, like, for example, if you look at, you know, yeah, exactly, right? Like when you look at, like, for example, the national teams of the 2006 era and you look at the national teams of now, there's no difference. Like, for example, you don't have, like, for example, one national team with 15 players in 15 different countries. It's all in their respective leagues. The issue that I think has been happening is that I call it hipster ball. But, like, for example, you have players playing on teams and it's essentially now a lot of these club coaches are trying to go into this hipster ball where it's X, Y, and Z. But here's the issue, right? Every style is different now. Every system is different. Like, for example, if you look at Bernardo Silva when he played at Monaco, and when you look at Bernardo Silva now after he's been at Pep Guardiola, my personal opinion, he is not as creative as he once was when he was at Monaco.
Oh no,
Absolutely not. Why?
He
Because
got coached out of it.
exactly, coaches are coaching players out to fill specific roles or specific gimmicks. Because how many times are we looking now when we're being tied to transfer targets or transfer rumors where we sit there and say, does this guy fit with what we're trying to do? Whereas like back then, you got the guy. It didn't matter because he was able to express himself or be able to fill the role. Or like, for example, a lot of Brazilian fans are yelling at the Brazilian national team and, calling them frauds and blah, 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 because, I think Joga Bonito doesn't even exist anymore. But you look at it where all of these Brazilians they play in different pragmatics, or not pragmatic, but they play in different systems that require them to do different roles. And as a national team coach, where the struggle is now, because as a national team manager, you only have X amount of days, X amount of hours to train these guys. When you are getting 22 players that maybe some of them are from the same team, right? But majority of them all play different systems, different roles in all these different systems, to find a common base for all of them to be able to produce and perform. The only person, in my opinion, outside of De La Fuentes for Spain, the only other person, and it's going to make people throw up, that has somehow found a happy medium is Gareth Southgate for England.
You're gonna make people puke. But yes,
exactly right.
Dash and I were telling that everybody, unfortunately.
So
yeah, because the problem is that majority of England fans want their team to play like Manchester City and stuff because the talent level is that high, but they don't understand that it's not easy to do that as a national team.
It's
Maybe
not.
you can implement a pressing strategy that is better and more consistent. Pressing, but passing, synchronization, and movements and stuff, I don't think it's very easy to implement in an international level.
You can't. It's not possible because it's going to be slow. Because again, every player now has a specific role or a specific duty that they do at their club level. Because again, club football is what sells. It's where the money is, right? The ad revenue, the shirt sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So of course, what's the most popular thing right now? Offense, goals. So you go to a gimmick, you go to a statistic. Because like, for example, Pep Guardiola evolved. Because Pep, for example, Barcelona Pep, Bayern Munich Pep, and Man City Pep, 3 totally different human beings.
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at it, Barca was a success, right? Then Bayern wasn't a success, to be honest.
But Bayern
was bad in Germany.
But Bayern was still a success locally. He didn't win the Champions League. I agree with that one. But still,
but that was the expectation back then.
Yeah,
he would be a success
100%.
European.
You're right. But still, his Bayern team was the most dominant Bundesliga team that ever played in Germany. He destroyed German football basically. He set records.
He
left,
changed
right,
German football. He evolved them. He took the best part of German intensity, mixed it with this Barca style, and that made the prototype A with it. Okay, it wasn't successful in the European stage. Then when he went to City and got all the funding, he min-maxed it, which is try to minimum and maximum to get the maximum of what he wants to express, and that is still evolving from getting only 2 ball playing center backs to 3 ball playing center backs with 1 offensive fullback, and then to having 4 ball playing. Like that is continuous evolving if you have enough money so that he can try what he wants to try.
Exactly. And then from a philosophical standpoint, right? Because from that Barcelona team, you had the creative maestros, like 3 creative geniuses in the midfield, where there wasn't, like, for example, there wasn't much thought to it. It was just, I'm putting Busquets, I'm putting Xavi, and I'm putting Iniesta out there, and they essentially will orchestrate and conduct everything, right? Whereas when he went to Bayern Munich, he didn't have that. That wasn't there. That's why he didn't succeed in the European stage. It wasn't at the level it was at Barcelona. And I think that's where Pep realized it. I need to simplify this more. And that's where he went into City and was able to make the adjustments and the tweaks. Because, for example, what he had at Barcelona is different from what he had at Bayern Munich. And I'm taking Messi out of the equation, right? You take Messi out of the equation and you look at like the foundations of the team as a whole. Like, yes, you had the Schweinsteigers, the Ribery's, the Arjen Robbins, etc., right?
The Xabi Alonso.
The Xabi
We had
Alonso.
Xabi Alonso in the middle with, I think there was Javi Martinez with him.
I
next
think
to
it
him,
was
part of it.
Javi Martinez as the deep sitting 6. So he
And
could
with
use
Alonso.
Xabi Alonso's like all of his creativity, man.
But the big thing here is those three at Bayern Munich did not have the intelligence that Xavi, Iniesta, and Sergio Busquets have, and the chemistry that they have. Because those guys could have their eyes closed and they would know where they were going to be on the pitch.
Yep.
Well, let's take.
That's
in my
the
opinion,
difference to Barcelona.
Yeah, my take is that he didn't perfect his pressing system when he came to Germany.
No,
it
I
was
didn't think he
flawed.
did.
So it was more exposed. But with time, how many years has he been in City? Since like 2016, no? 2017. It's been like 8 years in City. He tried to evolve with it and try to maximize with it. And now everybody has this idea of Pep football. We have to try to do this. Okay, this is more successful. Get this type of players, and that's going to lead us to success.
Yeah,
which is the major problem we're arguing with.
And it's crazy
Exactly.
what the change he brought to Manchester City, like after the Roberto Mancini style they had before that. Like he revolutionized everything. Yes, granted, Pep got like dominant players, world-class players in every single position by now, and if you look at position by position, Manchester City may be one of the best team in world football, and that's why we kind of also took shots at them, because they lost to Real Madrid. But on paper, the numbers that their players are able to produce, just on the sheer names and Pep as a coach and the tactics he implements,
everybody,
just a deadly weapon.
Everybody's
at the same time, he is juxtaposed by Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid.
But here's the funny thing about that.
Yeah.
Because that Real Madrid team, I think, or for example, Real Madrid with Carlo Ancelotti is the last bastion of free-thinking football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody's free.
There's a couple more things. So we're focusing so much on the players, the coaching, and we're talking about numbers. There's a lot more numbers to play and other people to blame here as well. I mean, we can break down Pep. This will be hours if we break down Pep. But there's two more things, and I'm kind of taking this off Bielsa because he commented on this just recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you've been watching Uruguay, they don't look so horrible either by the eye. But two things: the kids, and I'll just cut this short in terms of me. I don't want to sound like the old man, right? We're gonna complain about the kids. I'm gonna sound like an old man here, but. The algorithms, right? And I mean, we're guilty of it. We're all here on YouTube. You're watching us on YouTube, whatever it is, and there's the algorithm we have to appease, and that's why we try to keep this. We're aiming for a certain time limit. We're trying to hit certain topics, right? That's the same with the highlight reels, right? Kids, they get these 60-second or 90-second reels on Instagram, right? And that it's just highlight reels, even if it's just the 5-minute highlight of the game. Those highlights. I even complained about this past year. It used to be like 5-7-minute highlights. The highlights are like 2.5 minutes now. It's just like, bam, there you go. So our attention span, like we have ourselves to blame.
We're done.
Essentially.
We're done.
We have ourselves to
We got
blame.
TikTok brain. We got TikTok brain. That's what we have. That's what we have right now.
But the players and now the coaches coming up, they're part of this whole society as well. We're just locked into like having this idea and because we're trying to appease the algorithm, just like we're trying to appease the businessman, the fans, we're forced to almost give a certain product. And that's the other piece to this now is the business end. How much of this is just to pump out the money, just get more shirt sales, get more sales from ads on Insta, whatever it is. So those are a couple points I want to throw in there, and I'll let you guys kind of comment on that.
And to kind of like to go off of that, Dave, I think that money or that revenue boost is essentially coming at the detriment of international football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of, because like the whole idea is like you're trying to maximize profit with success, and the success the computer says is this type of play, so you implement this type of play with this type of coach and specifically get these players. Like it's a whole chain, chain of command you have there. That is it. But I hope it's a cycle. Everything is a cycle.
It
From
just
Cruyff's total football to Arrigo Sacchi to the Carlo Ancelotti Lippi era of intensity. Lippi's era of intensity, basically, when we were the best in the world, it was pure intensity and creativity. It went to a cycle, right? Now it is another cycle that we're entering in, and let's see where we get there. Between the idea of the Fluminese's what's the name, relational football, and with arguing with the possession of football, and getting a mix between these two types of football in two of the, let's say, the most promising coaches. I can't lie if they say they are not promising coaches in both Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen and now Thiago Motta's Juventus. That's gonna be, but based on Thiago Motta's Bologna, which have this aspect of let's maximize the talent we have. Let's maximize what's their best. For example, let's go with Leverkusen and like Grimaldo and what's his face, the short guy on the right.
Frimpong.
Yes,
Jeremy
Frimpong, short guy on the left. Okay,
short guy on the
This
left.
Short guy on the
1.5
left, short guy on
meters.
the right for Leverkusen.
Yes, he's not the right winger. He's gonna right wing back, but we're gonna maximize what he's doing best, which is attacking and his speed. Okay, we make the formation and the style of football so that we can accommodate him, accommodate Wirtz, accommodate Grimaldo. Okay, so that they can express themselves on the pitch but in a manner that is not like conventional that we're used to, in a specified box.
Yeah, it's not De Zerbi's deflated
No.
balls. No, but and you actually bring up a good point on that, and this is one of the reasons. Like for example, if you look at Juve's transfer strategy, so I'm going to get a little bit Juve, so folks can sit here and be like,
Go round circle. Yeah.
"Round the circle, Habibi."
Yes.
But when we look at it from Motta, and we've covered this, and we've talked about it. You've talked about it in the video that you made individually for the Thiago Motta tactics. Watch that, by the way, as well as with the Turam video that German Dave and myself.
I'll link
filmed.
them at the end of this video. You
It's
can
gonna
check
be
them out.
linked. It's gonna be linked. It's good stuff. Good stuff. One of the main things that I saw that I noticed with Thiago Motta's targets that we want is Thiago Motta wants multi-rolled players in a sense, right? Players that are able to be utilized in multiple roles, which is a nice little callback to certain players of a certain area. Because guess what? Xabi Alonso, Thiago Motta, all played in the heyday of footy, in my opinion.
Yep.
Thiago
Yeah.
Motta was at Barcelona when Barcelona was holy shit. They were
Yes.
good. Xabi Alonso was with Liverpool and Real Madrid in the glory days at the time
During
too, as
their
well.
best times. Yep.
Yep. So that's where I kind of find it a little bit more perplexing and interesting. And for example, this is maybe it's credit to Giuntoli. Maybe Motta's not doing any of this. I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure Motta does something in regards to this. But when you look at the players, when you look at the profiles that he's looking for, and when you look at the profiles he's shipping out of the club, for example, a Chiesa, right? Is he's removing players that are gimmick players, right? That are specific for one thing and that's it. And he's Kostic as well, right?
Yes, of course, Kostic.
So he's looking for players or profiles that are able to do multi-roles. Kefren Thuram can play as an 8. He can also interchange with your 9 or not your 9, but your 10.
6.
Coop
Yeah.
and your 6. So like for example, Coop Myers as well too. Coop Myers can play anywhere on the midfield. Dougie Louise can play anywhere on the midfield and off the field with
Yes.
Alicia Lehman, if you know what I'm saying. And then you look at Cambiaso as well. You look at the Turkish right back as well, who's able to cover multiple positions on that right
Kadioglu.
side.
Kadioglu.
Yeah.
At the Yoglu.
We
and
better
then
get used to that.
Kadioglu.
English.
Yes.
Kelly Yogu.
We'll just
and
call him
then
Caddy.
Caddy, the Caddy.
Just
His
call
name
him
is Ferdi,
Ferdi.
no? So just say
It's-
Ferdi.
Yeah, just call him Ferdi. It's way easier than making
Same
stuff
thing
up.
for same thing for the center back in Todibo, right? Like he's able to do multiple things inside the box as a defender. You look at, like, for example, a lot of people might not like him, but Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's able to give you that versatility on the edges as well. I think the one question that we're all probably going to have is whether or not Dusan is going to evolve or whether or not he gets sold. But that's begs the conversation throughout the season. So go ahead, Misak.
I was gonna say that Vlahovic is. I feel
Sold.
like most likely next summer is sold. That's my.
Yep. It's make or
Next summer,
break now.
both Bremer and Vlahovic are on the market. I'm just saying it from now. You can mark it down. Those two are gone because they're not gonna fit with the ideas of Mota, and we're gonna see that.
Well,
But
hopefully
Bremer's
we
I
do
hope
see
we
it.
succeed. Meanwhile,
But
meanwhile we
Bremer's the
succeed.
Bremer's the best midfielder in Juve right now. Just kidding. Last season.
No, we got Khafren Turam now.
We got a new
It's fine.
Frenchman. It's fine. We don't
We
need the
got
old
new
Frenchman
Frenchman.
anymore.
But just to circle it back to international football, just for 1 second,
Another loop.
Another
Another
loop.
loop?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
because for example, there's a reason why on the international stages or in the Euros right now that they don't play the styles of their local teams. For example, just the example of Liverpool, for example. I watched last season every single game of Liverpool because I goddamn love watching Jurgen Klopp's high press, high energy style with his all his front line and midfielders running like maniacs at their opponents. It's so exciting to watch, honestly. But every time you lose the ball, dude, I'm covering
It's
my
empty.
eyes up.
Yeah, we both mentioned it.
I'm covering my eyes up, but he has been not lucky because it's planned and it is on analytics and everything, of course, that you score way more than you concede. So he just played the math right. So that's why it worked for him. But you can't play that on the international level where you have so many players from so many different teams that play different styles. You are not able to implement a pressing style that will be cohesive and will work on the international stage without getting caught out defensively. And that's also what really disturbs me with the English media and the fans, because they want a high pressing, high energy style. And if you play that, it will cost you on the international level because you aren't able to practice that. You have every other month you have only 2 to 3 games, and you can't implement a proper pressing or defensive pressing style at that time frame.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say is about the coaching on the children level. What's happening right now is that coaches are trying to succeed themselves. How they are succeeding themselves is that their team is winning. So they are not teaching these kids how to express themselves.
Yep.
They're teaching them how to succeed, which is his success, so that he can get more money, he can get a higher role, he can get a better job.
It's
And these
business, not
kids-
art.
It's a business. No more art and creativity or freedom. No.
Get
it's
out of
just-
here, you damn hippies.
Yeah, I just want to make money because that's how the capitalism works. So I have to make money, so I have to be successful, and I will teach my kids how to play it in this most successful way. And that's how we are not getting that generation. Like rare. We get Lamine Yamal, which is gorgeous. Yeah, he's gorgeous for now. Give it 3 more years. Let's see if he's gonna be this as this.
See if his knees hold up, because Barcelona's going to play him 70 matches straight.
Yeah.
I don't want anything bad to happen to
No,
the kid.
I don't either.
No.
But like,
I'm
I've
just
talked-
afraid that he will be coached out of being this expressive.
I think
I
so.
hope not, dude. He's one of the proper, like, actual creative talents. Dude, he's not the prototypical winger that sticks on the right side like a certain guy that we have. Have you seen how he inverted, how he scored that goal on Rabiot, and how he shut Rabiot, a guy that is double his age, he just shut him up, man.
The
Dude,
man
and his mom.
is Muslim,
I
baptized by
honestly,
Messi. How is that logical? Tell me, how is that logical?
No, it's
You
not.
got 2 religions on this one kid at the same time. He is gonna be successful.
Yeah. It's incredible. But again, hopefully football gets back to that, right? I think Spain has done well because I think Spain has kind of realized, hey, we can't go away from our identity. We need to have La Liga. I think one of the things that La Liga has done well is like they've never really vied away from what they do. Like all La Liga teams play a similar style. I don't think there's a La Liga team that does anything different, right? Maybe not even like I haven't seen a La Liga team go out and be like pragmatic and ultra defensive as hell. It's just
Atleti,
maybe
Atletico.
Atletico. Like I mean, out of that, right? They're not.
Atletico is the most because of Simeone, and he likes to be the
How many
unknown.
but like again, outside of Alvaro Morata, who else is coming in from Atletico Madrid there? I don't think there's really anything. Like there's not really any Spanish players coming in from Atletico. It's like, for example, you look at like a lot of these Spanish players that are coming from other areas, like in La Liga, like, you know, you've got Nico Williams, who's from Bilbao, I believe, or Athletic. Yeah, it's Athletic Bilbao.
Yeah.
And same thing with Lemar at Barcelona. Like Bilbao and Barcelona play almost an identical style.
Carvajal and Nacho still cooking from Real Madrid. Robin Lenormand from Real Sociedad. They're
The
still doing good.
Sociedad midfielders that are practically
Is-
filling up the Spanish national team,
Dude,
right?
Zubimendi on the bench is a crime. Dude, I love that guy. It's a crime
Yeah.
that he's on the bench, but with
But
that midfield,
that
I understand.
that is
Fabian
why
Ruiz, man, how we underrated him is crazy.
that is why, like, for example, I give La Liga credit because, like, for example, the Sociedads and those are making players that are able to fill out
Yeah.
on the international stage. Where you look at Italy, like you have Fratese.
Yep.
Like that's what you have. You have, like, for example, Barella, and that's it. Like there's no, like, for example, when Italy was its best is when you had players from Lecce, from Bari, from random teams in Serie A that had great players that were contributing, and they came in together and they were able to contribute. Where it's like now it's I keep hearing, oh, it's because it's an Inter core, or, oh, because we don't, we need a Juve core, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you guys have completely missed the plot. The only two national teams are three. Maybe you want to give it to three, but, like, for example, the ones that are keeping their identity and maintaining it well, Spain and then Germany. I think those are the two that have
Yep.
maintained who they
Yep.
are currently.
And
the
for a
English.
second,
They
I was
suck.
going to get there. You got to give me a second for the English because I was going
Okay.
to throw a joke in
Yeah.
there.
No, just cooking a second on the English. I just wanted to mention a point on Germany, because Germany was right there at that point as well, where they just wanted to fill the whole team with Bayern players because they thought, oh man, the Bayern players have the experience on the international level, they will perform great. And then you took their bad mentalities and everything also into the national team as well. And now finally we are back to nominating players on merit from all the other different teams, from Stuttgart, from Dortmund, from Bayern, from Leipzig, a couple, and I love what we are doing. Like,
Yeah.
thankfully we are back, man.
England is third, an honorable third. The reason why is because they still have PTSD from Italy in 2021. So they've watched, I don't know if they've watched some kind of Campionato ball or something like that, but they have taken it and they have embraced it. Because I am watching Prime Italy in this England team.
I guess our second jersey is white, the Italy team. You can make believe. All right, guys. Well, that was a good conversation. Anyways, it was a bit longer than I think we thought because we all had so much to talk about.
I think it's a topic that you can't just make it
rush through it.
Sorry, folks, you have to watch the whole one.
The whole thing.
And this will be a fun one to read your comments as well.
Yeah, we want the comments because I'm sure you guys have a lot to talk about. There's so much. I mean, Bielsa, again, was just in the press talking about this very thing. And like, we're not even copying off him. Like, we were talking about this, and like the next day, Bielsa was like talking about the exact same thing. So it's on everyone's mind. We want to hear what you have about this exact topic as well. Well, Dash?
Yes.
Well,
take us
everybody.
away.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one, everybody.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And those 2 links that we talked about are going to pop up right there. Check those videos out as well.